Hello, it's Fiona Whitten from Oakfield Crafts here. Hope you're having a good day. Sorry I'm a little bit late. The dog decided that he was going to start barking for some reason, don't know why. And my daughter's not here at the moment, so I've had to go up and sort him out. But anyway, I'm here now. So today I'm sharing some ways to make your inks and stamps go a little bit further. I know when we first start out, it's like, okay, well, what do I need to get? And you look at a catalogue and you think, oh my goodness, there's so much to choose from. I really don't know what to do and what to get. And my advice is always pick a stamp set that you really like, that you think you would use. Seems obvious, but a lot of people just say, oh yeah, that one will be fine. And then once they got it, it's like, not sure. And then obviously ink, there's no need to go out and buy everything that you think you need. A couple of ink pads, good. A colour, a black, maybe another one if your funds allow for it. But you can always just simply add to your collection as and when. So today my plan is just to use one colour per idea and one stamp per idea. Sounds crazy, I know, but there you go. So these two are an example. I used some polished pink ink and polished pink cardstock. I'm only going to do the card fronts this morning just so that I can share as many ideas as possible and tips and things in the half hour rather than sitting here and sticking everything together. So yeah, I used polished pink ink and I did use a second colour just for my sentiment. Could use black, you could use the same colour, it's really up to you. And then I tried two different techniques. So the stamp that I used was this one here from the In Symmetry stamp set. And this was the first one that I did. It involves getting a post-it note. And in fact, most of the cards, in fact all the cards that I've got here actually involve post-it notes. Post-it notes for this sort of technique is your friend. And you only need to do one for these. She says, I'll tell you what, I'll just show you what to do. So if you get your post-it note and you get the stamp that you want to use. So I'm going to use this one again and show you how I did these. You know on your post-it notes, you've always got an edge that is like the sticky edge that holds the note to whatever. So you want to make sure when you're stamping that part of that image is over that edge. So I'm just going to ink up. Now I'm okay here because although this is a photopolymer stamp, it's just going onto this, so it's not too bad. So you stamp it like that, and it doesn't matter if it's a little bit blotchy on the inside because you're not actually going to use this other than to mask. So this is called the masking technique. So once you've stamped it, you want to get your paper snips, simply cut around it. Now you want to make sure that you go fairly close to the edge. You can go completely to the edge if you want to, it's up to you. The more of an edge you leave, the more of a halo effect you will get around the image. So if you look back at this one, this has a small halo around each of the flowers. That's primarily because of the fact that I didn't actually cut directly onto the flowers. I left a little edge all the way around, and you don't have to be brilliantly neat. Oops. I'm only going to do this once, and because all the other ones I've already cut out, so you don't have to sit and watch me doing this all the time. I don't need that bit, so that bit can get thrown away. Right, nearly done. That's it. Right. Okay. So if I now bring in my piece of basic white, so I've cut this as a layer for the card front. So that means I've cut it at 10 centimetres by 14.4 centimetres. Now, because I'm using a photopolymer stamp set, I'm actually going to use my Stampin' Pierce mat underneath. So now I've already stamped with that once, so that means it's kind of, we're on the second. So we don't want that, we do want the first one again. So I'm just going to simply, I've just re-inked it, and then I'm going to stamp it once, like that. So that's my first image. And then I'm going to take my post-it note, now that it's stuck to my stamping scrap, and you're going to paste the post-it note over the image, because you don't want to be stamping on that image again. So I've got that covering my image. So I'm going to stamp it again, because it's photopolymer, I can see where I'm going. So I kind of want the petals to be lined up again. So that's my second impression. And then this time I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to move it up to and cover that second impression. Like so. And then I'm going to stamp a last time. So this will be the third impression. So each time it's getting paler and paler. So there's my halos from the post-it note. But because I've used the mask, none of these impressions have actually gone on to the previous impression. And you can do this technique with all sorts, absolutely all sorts. So this is just one idea of doing the masking. And it also means that you haven't actually cleaned your block in between each of those stamping. So you've used all the ink up virtually. I mean, I could probably get a fourth impression out of this. You know what, should we give it a go? Let's just see. The darker the colour that you start with, the more likely you're able to get more impressions out of it. So I'm just going to go for the fourth one. So this could be interesting. This could be nothing, or it could be, yeah, see, it's very, very faint. Now the other thing I could have done, which I totally forgot to, was I could have huffed on the stamp, and then the water in my breath, I'd say not the water, but the dampness of my breath will have moistened the stamp slightly and reactivated the ink a little. So that's another thing that you can do, is just huff. It's very funny when you go to classes and everyone's sitting there, heavy breathing all over the stamps and things. It's probably not a good idea actually at the moment, given COVID. So if you're doing this by yourself, you're fine, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend that you do it when there's a big group of you going around doing this at the moment. So that's how. So that was my 3. That was my 4. Yeah, I like that. So that was that idea. Now this one, you'll notice that there's no halo around the shape. Well, that was because what I did was I stamped off first. So you're not necessarily being more frugal with your ink because you're stamping onto something before you then stamp the image. But you know what? If you rather stamp onto things like your envelope or your innie to go inside the card, then that's the time to do it, to then get you your first impression. So let's just do that. So this is going to be my innie, and I'm just going to grab an envelope. So I'm going to re-ink. And the thing you also need to be careful of is when you're actually stamping off, you want to make sure you're stamping off the complete image. And I'll show you why. So if I stamped off here, because this is going to be my innie, you will notice that there is a line that's formed on here, which you wouldn't want on your image. So if you are going to stamp off, then you need to make sure, I'm going to do it again, I'm just going to turn this over. You need to make sure, I'm going to go this side so that it kind of covers what's underneath. Stamp the whole image. So that's my first impression. That's my envelope. I'm going to stamp my second impression. So that's fainter. And then I am going to huff, seeing as no one's around. It's kind of safe to do that. And then I'm going to do my third impression. So yes, it's faint, but it's there. Now this time you don't actually need to use, and then I'm going to have to ink up again for the next step. You don't need, what was I saying? We're not going to use the post-it note. So this time I do need to stamp it off because I've already done my envelope and I've done my inside. So I've done a whole impression stamped off. Now this is now going to be second impression. So I'm going to go on top, try and line it up. And because this is darker than the one below, you're not going to notice what's underneath. And then for my last one, I'm going to re-ink again. And then again, I'm going to just simply stamp the full image this time around because I want a full-blooded. So this is going to dry slightly different. I'll just lighten up slightly to what's here. So if we compare it to this one, so that one and that one are full-blooded. This one and this one has been effectively stamped off once, and then that one I've stamped on my envelope and my innie just so that it's the third generation. And then similarly that one, that's just 1, 2, 3. So that's just some simple ideas that you can do with something like this. You don't have, if you don't have post-it notes, you could try this technique. Obviously, if you do have some post-it notes, then the world is your oyster, as they say. So I thought I would show you some other things that you could do with a similar technique. Of course, you don't have to do everything like that, lined up, going up your card. So this one here, I did it going across my card. So that was my first impression. That was my second impression. And then that one I did actually have to stamp off a couple of times because I wasn't sure how this piece here would come out. So I'll show you. So here's my little piece that I've done. Now the other thing that you could do, so I'm going to turn that so that it is landscape rather than portrait, and I'm going to use the Love of Your Leaves stamp set. So I'm using this stamp here. And I'm going to use, so I used polished pink on that first one. So this one I'm going to use Evening Evergreen. So these are all the new 2021, 2023 in colours. And this is a distinctive stamp set, so when I stamp you'll notice that different places on the image look darker than the other. Don't panic, it is supposed to be like that. although it's not supposed to have a splodge on it, but hey, I think that must have picked something up from the ink pad. That's a nuisance. Just try and get something that bit off there. Right, okay. So the other thing you can do, I mean, this should still be sticky. It is. So I'm going to just simply, what am I going to do? Now you could, in theory, just like create a flower effect with it, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to go across like this. Now I want to keep the whole thing on the page. So there's that. Now this time I'm going to have to get my innie and my envelope, because I want the 3rd generation. It's good this, because it means you get everything stamped in one go without having to, yeah, so I need to re-ink. This time I'm going to, let's see, it's going to be a big stamp, what the heck. There's that. There's my, actually I'm going to go this side for my envelope. Any postman who's delivering these is probably going to think, what the heck? And then I'm just going to huff on that and then get my 3rd image. I'm trying to get them level, but because I'm sitting down, I'm kind of not sure that I'm succeeding at that, but I'm not doing too badly. So this is quite nice because you can actually see that the leaves in between each image, except for the fact that I would say I've got some splodges on there, which is not good. So hopefully you have a better ink pad than I do. I'm not sure. I need to go and clean mine, or maybe just re-ink it. So that's another idea. And this does work, this technique does work better with solid stamps. Primarily because then you've got the whole of the colour on your card front rather than just a line. I mean, you can use lines. I'm trying to see if I got one that's just got lines, and I'll show you. I think I deliberately kept away from it, isn't that bad? Okay, never mind. So this is an example where you would want to use a darker colour, or you may only want to use the 1st and 2nd images, simply because by the time I got to my 3rd, it's very, very faint. I think if you was trying to create a bouquet here, so if it was just in a line, it probably would be okay. You would get away with it. You would be able to see the image. But because it's quite a fussy image, then you lose some of the detail. The simpler, the better. So I'm not going to redo that one because I'm not too happy with that one. This one was surprisingly simple, because it's simply a square. So it's one of the squares from the All Squared Away stamp set, and I simply stamped that and then used my mask to cover that, and then I re-stamped. So that's 2nd, and then this is 2nd as well. That's that one. And then the 3rd one that I have to show you, I just wanted to show you that by using the masking technique, you can actually create different images. So I used the All in Bloom stamp set for this, and I actually used 3 colours. You could just do it monochrome if you wanted to, and I might just give that a go in a minute and I'll show you. So I've used, let's see if I can remember. So I used that flower, I used that flower, and then I used that one. So I've got all three on here. So there's that one, and that one, and I used different colours on them, and I simply stamped, and then I didn't mask. I just simply over stamped because the next layer down was going to be paler. So this is just simple stamping. It's just creating a different shape using the second lot of ink on your stamp. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So don't need any post-it notes for this, which is good. I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to do monochrome, so we're going to have fun with that. I think we'll have some fun with some So Succulent ink. So I'm going to use the So Succulent. These are the three. Move that out of the way. You don't need those anyway. So I'm going to use that one. No, I'm not going to use either. So I'm going to use So Succulent, and I'm going to use, whoops, that flower, and that flower. Now, if you're creating an image that's covering the whole of the paper, cardstock, whatever it is that you're using, you would want to take your images over the edge. It looks much better if you have images. You don't have to take every single image over. Have the occasional image going off the edge. But when you do that, that's when you need to think about re-inking, because again, as I was saying earlier, this one, for example, I would have ended up with a little corner showing on the actual stamp, which is okay if you're only twisting it a little bit. But on some of these, if I was using a bigger one, and it was more off, then you would have to be very careful. And let's see. Let's stamp once. So that's my first impression. And then I'm just going to turn it slightly and stamp again. So it looks like a fuller flower. I'll do that one. That one, I'm going to do one more. I'm going to do one down here in the corner. Now, this is where I was saying you end up, I don't know if you can see it, like there's a corner there. So you need to be careful when you're re-stamping that you're twisting it and you're not getting that piece onto your card. Now I know that this line here is from that corner, so you can see what happens. You end up with a line going across your image. If you're not too worried about it, that's fine, but I'm just sort of giving you some hints and tips here so that the best way to avoid it is just to simply stamp off and then just re-ink and stamp off again. Let's see, so this one is going to go here, twist it, let's get it right. Ooh, no, I didn't actually get all the ink on that. Hey ho. It's got a very faded look on that. Let's see. Just going to go on the edge on this, and then I know that I can turn it around and just use the other side. So it's corners that are usually the issue rather than edge. You know, a straight edge is fine. A corner is where you will end up having a little bit of an issue. Let's do that again on here. Make sure the line's nowhere near where I want to go. That's fine. And then I'm just going to use that last one, little one. It's quite a cute little flower, this one. And you probably Notice what I was saying about the darker you start, the more you're likely to have a better impression underneath. And you don't have to be precise when it comes to turning these. You just need to turn them slightly just to get that effect of additional petals. Let's see, I'll put one in here, I think. Like that. And you could go on forevermore. I mean, I could add another colour now. Let's see, what should we do? Should we add? I might just add some pale papaya, just to have a bit of a contrast. And I might put the little flowers again on, but this time in pale papaya, not too many of them. And obviously you need to make sure that you clean your stamp. And you could fill your card front completely, just making your own, effectively you're making your own designer series paper. It's a lot of fun, it's very therapeutic. Right, one last one. So there you go, and then obviously you can just simply add a sentiment to that and put that onto your base card and you're done. Quick and simple. So I hope you enjoyed seeing those ideas. If you've got any questions, I will do my best. I will please leave them in the comments and I will reply to those because I'm not able to see the comments as we go along because of the way my setup is for my videoing. But yes, I hope you've enjoyed that. Back next week with it was card and a cuppa, so it's the second card and a cuppa for June. And quick reminder what else is going on at the moment. So we've got the last chance sale going on for everything from the January to June mini catalogue that hasn't carried over is now in the sale. And there's 50% off some of the items still, so that's a good bargain. And what else? The host offer, extra £20 in Stampin rewards for if you host an event. It doesn't have to be in person, obviously. I know we're all still kind of not too sure about in-person events at the moment. And oh yeah, class the end of this month is the Beauty of the Earth. The kits, booking for the kits is now closed, but if you want to be part of the Zoom call and receive the instructions, then you've still got time to book that option. You've got until the 20th of June to do that. Okay, well that's it. Take care, and I'll catch you next week, if not before. Bye.